Do you ever receive a large order of brackets? Have your clinical assistant in the back taking them and putting them into those little slots like in the hardware store and putting them all away, and then all of a sudden somebody bumps into him or her or knocks it over and they're all on the floor? Yeah, that's the beginning of a really fun day. We used to call that 52 pickup. Well, if you're using customized digital brackets, you don't have that issue. In today's episode, who better to discuss the topic than none other than my friend, Dr. Alfred Griffin, founder of LightForce.
The future of orthodontics is evolving and changing every day. But although the way to achieve practice growth has changed, there's never been a better time to be an orthodontist. Let's get into the minds of industry leaders, forward-thinking orthodontists, and technology insiders to learn how they see the future of the orthodontic specialty. Join your hosts Dr. Leon Klempner and Amy Epstein each month as they bring you insights, tips, and guest interviews focused on helping you capitalize on the opportunities for practice growth. And now, welcome to the Golden Age of Orthodontics with the co-founders of People and Practice, Dr. Leon Klempner and Amy Epstein.
Welcome to the Golden Age of Orthodontics. I'm Dr. Leon Klempner, retired, proud, board-certified orthodontist, director of orthodontics at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, faculty member at Harvard, and the CEO of People in Practice.
It's quite the resume there. I'm Amy Epstein. You're welcome. I have an MBA in marketing and about 20 years of public relations and communications experience. We co-founded the business of People and Practice about 10 years ago, and we're a marketing and growth consultancy for orthodontists specifically. And a big part of the work that we do is work with practices to promote the technologies that they're using that improve the practice and that improve patient outcomes and that improve the business to attract new patients. So as my dad said, we're really happy that we have Dr. Alfred Griffin on our podcast today. As the founder and CEO of LightForce, he has a lot to say about how technology can improve the practice of orthodontics. Dr. Griffin founded LightForce in 2015. He received a bachelor's in biochemistry from the University of Virginia and then completed his dental degree and PhD at the Medical University of South Carolina, while also lecturing internationally in craniofacial biology. Dr. Griffin also has a master's of medical science and a certificate in orthodontics from the Harvard School of Dental Medicine, where he currently serves as faculty, like my dad does as well. And he is an ABO certified practicing orthodontist as well. So that is also quite the resume. Alfred, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate you guys having me. It's good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Welcome back for sure. Finally got you back. Actually been trying for a while. You're a busy guy, and talk about resumes. That's quite the resume right there.
I got a 3-year-old that keeps me busy too.
And a 3-year-old. Okay.
Oh, that should go at the top of the resume. Yeah, that's the most important part right there.
Right.
So it's been I guess a year and a half or more since we spoke last, and it was like you were a startup when we first started talking, and things have changed so much. The technology has exploded in all areas. Earlier, we were talking a little bit about Chat GPT and how that could affect things in the future, but there's so much going on. So bring us up to speed in terms of LightForce and what's been going on and how things developed and what new features, and just kind of give us a quick overview.
Totally. Well, first of all, it's great to be back. I remember the last time we spoke 18 months ago, we were at a much different stage. And you could say we were a startup. I would actually argue that we want to stay a startup, at least have that mentality for as long as we can, because there's certain things about a startup that are very important and authentic that need to scale, such as one of the things we talk about all the time is being the best company at listening to our customers. focusing on the community, delighting people with every interaction. Those are things that are hard to scale as you become bigger, but are essential to scale in this industry. And the reason why is because there are only 10,000 orthodontists in North America. And the cost of being wrong is high. Word of mouth matters a lot. And that's our best, from marketing point of view, our best marketing weapon is word of mouth. When someone loves what we do, or it changes their life, their practice, their workflow, and then they tell friends. That's the best way to market, in our opinion. From a product point of view, a lot has changed as well. So the last time we spoke, we had just come out with translucent brackets. I think, Leon, the first time we met in Dallas, you saw that we had white braces, and I think you even told me that that's going to be tough for some patients, and you were not wrong, Leon. It's great for the 12 and under, loved it, called them AirPods for your teeth, but we knew we had to make translucent braces, and so a lot of people at LightForce deserve a ton of credit for all the work they put in from a material science point of view to make that happen. And then the other big advancement that happened August last year is we came out with fully customized buccal tubes for molars. So up until August last year, we didn't even move the molar teeth, we didn't move second molars. We had stock tubes on sixes. So you see the platform start to complete. And then the other thing I'd say on the back end that we don't really talk about as much is we've increased our level of sophistication on the manufacturing side. We actually just opened up a 36,000 square foot factory here in Wilmington, Massachusetts. And we've integrated a lot of processes that are ultimately beneficial to doctors that scale quality control, traceability, knowing which part goes where to who, and improving the logistics that are going to improve service level agreements so that cases get there on time. So it becomes a very predictable business that, if you're an orthodontist, like my dad, a private practice, that's your livelihood. And so you need to work with companies that you trust because the impact of something going wrong is quite high. So building trust is something that all these things are driving towards. How can we continue to build the trust of the orthodontic community and become that standard of care that they stake their business on.
Yep. And and what you're talking about with the best way to build your company is through word of mouth and strong relationships and great customer support to the orthodontic community. And so what we do as with orthodontists also as our clients, but as marketers, we're really speaking on behalf of the practice to patients. And so all of the work that we do is about translating technologies that benefit an orthodontic practice to the patient to help them understand why a practice that's delivering this type of care would be one to go to. So we're helping to build in a community the word of mouth around technologies like LightForce to bring them into a practice. So the question I have for you is, can you put a fine point around the patient benefit of having LightForce as their treatment that the orthodontist recommends? Like, what does it mean for them?
Yeah, totally. Great question, Amy. So we've been in business for 3.5 years selling stuff. So not a lot of data, but very proud to say we did just get a peer-reviewed article out in JCO, and with very interesting data. It's a retrospective trial done in a single practice, but looked at the last consecutive 100 finishes with LightForce and with stock braces. And the outcome was that we saw a dramatic reduction in both treatment time and number of visits. I think the number of visits reduced by 8, and the number on average across 5 different categories of severities, and the overall treatment time reduced by well over 40% across all the categories. So the benefit to the patient is several fold. One is, the modern consumer wants an experience that really you can only get with digital. And up until LightForce, digital orthodontics was largely synonymous with clear aligners. And what that means for the patient practically is that there are roughly 7 to 8 less times that you need to take your child out of school or that you need to take off work. fewer visits to the orthodontist is a good thing for the patient. It's good thing for the world if you talk about burning fossil fuels and whatever. But there's a net benefit to patients there. The other reason that this is good is that when you look at all of the comorbidities across braces treatment, it's like white spot lesions, dehiscences, gingiva dehiscences, and root resorption. The number one correlative factor for all three of those comorbidities is duration of treatment. Mm-hmm. So if we can reduce the amount of time patients are in fixed appliances, then patients are going to have far fewer comorbidities as well. The other thing that we learned coming out of this study is that you got better outcomes. What you put in is what you got. And that's going to continue to be true, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's why we always argue it's the artist, not the paintbrush. So I think of any digital technology, clear aligners, LightForce, whatever, it's just a tool. The outcome is more dependent, will always be more dependent on the person that's doing the diagnosis and treatment planning, which is the orthodontist. And that kind of leads into the next conversation is, as you mentioned, is AI going to be a scary thing? What does the future hold? But as an orthodontist, I couldn't be more enthusiastic or excited about the future. So.
Great. So, Alfred, we were all in Chicago recently at the AAO, and what struck me was, number one, the number of different aligner companies that are out there, but there were also, other companies that make custom fixed appliances. So, this is a question I get all of the time. As to, what's the difference, let's say, between LightForce and KLON and Braces on Demand? I mean, not every product is ideal for every practice, but, the way that Amy and I see the orthodontic profession moving is to start with a digital scan, and it's either going to be aligners or it's going to be some sort of customized fixed appliances. So tell me a little bit more about LightForce and how it may be different than some of the other competitors that you have out there in the marketplace now.
Well, first I would say that I think that this category that we're talking about is going to be a growing category in the industry. And I also believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. So I have nothing but positive things to say about either of those companies and the other companies that may come into the space. I think that technology and innovation, particularly coming from orthodontists, which both of those companies were originally founded by orthodontists, is a good thing. I think that orthodontists leading charge on innovation in our space is a good thing. You've seen also in the past where that's gone wrong. The net is I'm very supportive of this entire category. I expect it to grow. And then you look at your comments on other clear aligner companies. Clear aligners are a category where you've got outside investors looking at orthodontics and saying, hey, that's a product with proven demand and proven gross margin profile. That's a safe bet. A lot of the innovation in orthodontics, I think, is going to come on the demographics the opportunities that are on the fixed appliance side, things that remove compliance or biomechanics as limitations to treatment outcomes. And that's what we're doing. Obviously, we were one of the first movers there, and we're going to continue to both be quick movers, but also advocates for the space. You may see differences in terms of approach, whether it's a full customization approach or versus modular approach. You'll see different qualities of material as well in this space. We are big believers in this space and again, believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. And I think there's room for a lot of people to be successful here.
Yeah, sure. Yep. That's great. So if you recall on the last podcast, it's customary for us to take a question from one of our viewers. So we have one right now. So if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and play it, and then you could address that question.
Great.
Hi, this is Dr. Jackie Sheik from Northfield, Minnesota. As a current LightForce user, can you give me an idea of what new features we can expect in the near future?
Love that question. we get that quite often. It's a great question. Jackie's a phenomenal orthodontist, and she's one of the earlier users of LightForce, living through some of the ups and downs of bringing a new product to market. But to answer a question, I would say that any and everything is possible in orthodontics with technology, and I also believe that most things that go in the mouth should be mass customized because there's a value to it. And so, we're very focused on braces. The other thing I think that will evolve is ability to diagnose and treatment plan. I think that one of the learnings we've had over the last year is that digital technologies like this make a good treatment plan and a good diagnosis scalable. And what I mean by that is if you look at the teeth in a digital system, you might pick up on things that you might miss if you're just looking at teeth by line of sight and with a mirror. For example, you might miss a Bolton discrepancy. You might miss posterior torque or Waller Ridge considerations. And so you've got more levers to pull looking at a case from a digital point of view, and you can start with the end in mind. So if you do need to make torque adjustments across an upper or lower arch, or you do need to IPR, or you just have a more focused diagnosis and treatment plan, and then you start with the end in mind. So you're going in the right direction the whole time. Whereas with fixed appliances, stock brackets today, or in an analog workflow, you stick stuff on day one, and then you have to react every 4 to 6 months. And then if you start with initial treatment plan, you might miss some of the nuances 8 months into treatment that you forgot about. Whereas with digital, you can, and I say digital, including LightForce or aligners, you can look at a plan and always be reminded of exactly where you're going. So I think the tools that enable doctors to better treatment plan and diagnose are going to be a focus for LightForce. Certainly, I think that CBCT is a trend that we're going to bet on. Beyond that, I think that there are a lot of opportunities, but they're all going to be reactions to our customer demand and the community that we're building. So we learn a lot from our community. That's been one of the fun things for us, is that it really feels, particularly this last year, where we've turned a corner, where the product is no longer LightForce's. The product belongs to our community. And I say that not only in terms of what informs our product roadmap, but also in terms of how people use our product. I'll give you a quick example, actually, is we've had bite turbos for a long time. And obviously we've expanded the library and how you can use it. But initially, bite turbos were conceived of just to open the bite, so you're not hitting on lower brackets. And the software will detect and tell you if you're going to hit on lower brackets. If not, it'll put a bite turbo to tell you where it needs to be. I said I wouldn't use ortho hands, and I did. But now people use those as a functional tool to set the desired overbite. And then they'll also use it to accelerate the bite opening for deep bite cases. And a lot of them will even put on light elastics in the posterior day one, and you see the bites fly open, which is really incredible to see. So this is an example of us building a product in synergy with the existing product, and then our community teaching us how best to use it. And then that information spreads like wildfire, and the people who ultimately benefit, to your point earlier, patients.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also argue,
go ahead.
I would say as patients win, the ultimate brand of orthodontics as a specialty also increases as well, which is another outcome that we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it does seem like it's an ecosystem that you're building here, with feedback from patients, from customers that are feeding the use cases. You just described one, but are there very surprising ways that your customers are using LightForce, or are there practice benefits that you've heard of that have been realized since implementing LightForce within their practice?
Yeah, good question. Initially, when we built this, it felt like an obvious thing to do for a lot of reasons. But the two reasons we focused on were saving doctors time and saving money. The things we didn't anticipate that we're learning about as we do customer surveys and people learn about LightForce and the profile of a LightForce customer is that they also greatly value their mental energy and that of their staff. Mm-hmm. And they also value the regional brand and social capital. So what I mean by that, for mental energy, that means if you're going over to a patient for a wire change for a 15-minute visit, is it actually a 15-minute visit, or does it turn into a 45-minute repo appointment, or a longer time where you have to bend a lot of wire, or brackets coming off, whatever? It results in more consistency across treatment, and also more consistency in terms of treatment times. The cases tend to finish on a tighter distribution of treatment times. What I mean by social capital is that are you guys familiar with NPS, Net Promoter Score?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are. I've learned about it recently as well. It's something we track here. But if you think about regional NPS score for an orthodontist, that it's like your brand in the community. Like, what are you going to get when you see Dr. Kleppner? Is it going to be a great outcome? Is it going to be a great experience? Are those patients going to be motivated to go to their school, their country club, whatever, and say, that's the guy you want to see because I got this outcome, this experience, this treatment time? That's what we want for our users. We want to win with our user. We say all the time, we want to win as well. We want to win 49%, but we want our customers to win 51%. So we're learning that through our community, and that's front of mind is making sure that we're providing value in addition to the time and money parts. But we're learning more about how the system can be used to provide other currencies to our customers as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, this has been so informative. We stopped by and we're checking things out at the booth at the AAO, but it's so nice to have you one-on-one here on the show today. If we have questions from our listeners and they'd like to reach out to you or learn more about LightForce, how can they do that?
They can visit our website, www.lf.co. And the other thing I'll just mention is that LightForce Future is just around the corner. So June 1st to 3rd in San Diego. This is where we have all of our community of users comes together and we talk about best practices. So it's going to be a very exciting few days, lots of awesome speakers. And, there's a new frontier of digital orthodontics and what a fully digital practice looks like. And, having been in the industry for only 3.5 years, there's still a lot to learn. And so for me, it's the most exciting time of year because you get to hear how people are using the product, how they're using it to win, grow their practices, an insight into financial metrics, and ultimately how to benefit patients. So I think that it's a great thing for new users, but particularly for existing users to fine tune how to use it.
Great. Well, listen, thanks so much again for being here. We look forward to the next time you're on the show, and we'll be following you closely in terms of the innovations that LightForce will be putting out over the coming months. Thanks
awesome.
Again.
Thanks so much, Amy. Great to see you, Leon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This episode is sponsored by Dental Monitoring, and we talked about AI at the beginning of the show, and obviously there's AI involved in the LightForce process, but AI is a differentiator when it comes to remote monitoring. And so whether you're offering aligners, traditional brackets and wires, or custom digital systems like LightForce, DM makes it possible for you to keep patients on track in fewer visits. And Alfred talked about limiting the number of visits to begin with by using a system like LightForce, but adding a remote monitoring component could further provide not only clinical benefits, but also patient benefits in terms of giving back some time to them. So from a marketing perspective, we feel that these are the types of things that practices should be looking at implementing and promoting in order to attract the new type of patient that's out there that's looking to spend more time with their family and spend more time on themselves and spend a little less time in your waiting room. So If you liked today's podcast, and we hope you did, we thought it was a really good one, you can subscribe or download other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'd appreciate you telling a colleague if you did enjoy it. For more information about people in practice, you can actually ask Leon questions directly if you visit our website at pplpractice.com. There's this little chat functionality, and if you type something in there, it actually goes to his cell phone, and he'll get back to you as soon as he can. He actually answers them. I've seen him do it. So thanks again for listening. And, I think there's something that you wanted to say. You mentioned at the
I do. I told Amy that I wanted to be a social media influencer. And she says, that's not easy to do. And I said, well, we get about 10,000 to 15,000, downloads every month. So if everybody listening here would follow me on Instagram at Dr. Leon Klempner, DrLeonK, KLEMPNER, boom, I'm an influencer. So anyway, remember
I think
that
you're already an influencer, by the way.
No.
Regardless of how many followers you have on Instagram, I walk around the AAO and I literally can't take two steps without you being stopped by someone. And whether that's because you are, 6'5" and walking around in that trade show floor, you literally know everybody. So you're an influencer either way.
I think it's because I'm tall. I think that's really the bottom line.
You find you.
Anyway, I'm easy to find for sure. But I love, this is my 40th year, I think, going to the AAO. I don't think I've missed one yet. And I always love, best part of it is seeing all the people for me anyway. But learning about the technology is always exciting as well. So, remember that for forward-thinking orthos, it's never been a better time to be an orthodontist. We're blessed. We are in the golden age, so you've got to take advantage of it. So until next time, bye for now.
Before we sign off today, we are thrilled to announce a brand new podcast from People in Practice Media called Practice Talk. So while the golden age is focused on engaging our doctors out there, Practice Talk is really geared toward team members. Our mission is to elevate the concerns of orthodontic team members that are going through things on a regular basis and need some feedback on what's happening and maybe some strategies about how to deal with them. And we'll shine a spotlight on those who really have found those great solutions.
With that, I'd like to introduce Lacie Ellis. Lacie is one of our most experienced growth consultants at People in Practice. She's worked at every role in an ortho practice: front desk, chair side, lab, taking records. She's been a TC. She does marketing. So we felt that she'd be the perfect person to host this. So welcome, Lacie.
Thank you so much. I am nervous and excited, which I think are two very similar emotions that I'm feeling. This really came about. We talked about what's going on kind of in the industry, and that there's a lot of resources out there, I think, for doctors of practices, and they have a lot of ways to collaborate with each other and get ideas and feedback. And from working inside a practice, I've just found that it can be really lonely and really isolating to be the only TC in a practice, or maybe there's two front desk people in the practice. And in doing lots of roundtables and other forums, I've come to find that, there are so many things that I was like, dang, I wish I would have known that sooner. I would have totally used that. That would have made my life so much easier. And so that's where this kind of came about. We thought, let's have a way that we can talk about these great ideas and these, these discussions that are happening all the time and bring them into one place so we can all learn from each other together. So, the format's really going to be that we're going to invite questions and stories about a specific topic. And then I'm going to, through my contacts and the contacts of our team members, find someone who we think really elevates that message, who can really speak to those concerns and, have a really good discussion with this co-host. And we're going to talk about your questions and your stories. And this isn't a consultant or somebody in the industry who's trying to sell anything to anybody. It's somebody who sits in the chair that you sit in every single day, doing what you do. And hopefully you get some tips and tricks and a little bit of, awareness about what could make your life easier. So that's kind of the goals.
I love that. And I think that having, people in the field on the ground every day dealing with these challenges, answering the questions that we get, I think that and having you moderate, I think it's going to be a great format and it'll be really engaging. So we all look forward to it. So for everyone here, stay tuned next month and listen in to the first episode of Practice Talk, where our topic will be, correct me if I'm wrong, Lacie, strategies for dealing with difficult patients.
That is correct. Yep, that's the plan.
It should be a good one. Lacie, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to listening to the podcast. And thanks to everyone here. Listen in next month. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden Age of Orthodontics. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or visit our website at thegoldenageoforthodontics.com for direct links to both the audio and video versions of this episode.